guys, welcome back to Prepping in Progress. I'm Steve, and Kim's missing. Actually, she had an appointment and could not be here for today's video. So, you get me. Today's video, we're going to talk about a challenge that Mike at Asymmetrical Preparedness put out a while back that we've been meaning to answer. And the problem is we haven't been able to sit down together and film. But Mike put together a list of scenarios and he wanted our opinions on them, but he did it a little bit differently. So I'm going to leave a link above to his video and we're going to answer his questions. So let's get to it. Okay, so I've got my cool note card here. In Mike's challenge, the first one was name your most likely scenario. So, for me, I worry about some form of economic collapse or another depression. Now, does it necessarily have to start with financial? No. I don't think it does. However, as I've said before, we spend money as a country at a higher rate than we take it in with our taxes. We are borrowing from China and other places at a high rate. At this point, we're just paying the interest on our loans and not even touching the principal. And every year we borrow more. I don't know how many of you have credit cards out there, but those of you that do know that that's a untenable solution, and eventually you reach your credit card's max and all you can do is make payments until you have paid off the debt or paid off enough of the debt that you have some leeway to spend. And frankly, the only thing that's keeping the economy together is the fact that we are a reserve currency for oil, and it's what is called the petrodollar. If we stopped being a reserve currency, our economy would collapse quickly. In theory, we have gold reserves, but no one's seen them and actually verified them in years. So we would turn into another Venezuela very quickly. So I see that as a very likely scenario, particularly if you take the grand solar minimum into effect and just the weather patterns of late that have affected the farming seasons, definitely last year and the year before, greatly. Next on Mike's list was your craziest, most unlikely scenario. The robot aliens? I don't know. Red Dawn? In all honesty, I don't believe in aliens. I don't believe in Independence Day style invasion. I don't see it happening, so I guess that'd be the one that would surprise me if it actually happened. That would probably be hard to deal with. And it's funny because as I look behind the camera, I see a bookshelf full of movies. And one that pops out is Battle Los Angeles, which is an alien invasion movie. But then I turn around and I look at Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. And while it was a slow moving movie, it was the end of the, I believe, Mayan Empire, Incan or Mayan. The blood sacrifices are going on. The fields are having a hard time being used. And then at the very end, you see in the bay that the Spaniards have arrived. And maybe there is something meaner than us out there. But I tend to believe that if there is something meaner than us, it comes from this planet. If you look at what we're doing with science, crossing genetic materials, we have the potential to design our own destruction in critters, creatures, and viruses and bugs. So I'd throw out robot aliens and put, that more like, a man-made contagion before I would, Ripley and the alien queen showing up. So, last but not least, and I guess this, what would be my most challenging SHTF scenario? Well, in a prep talk recently, we talked about your health and your habits and your long-lasting effects of those. I recognize that I have a physical weakness in my chest. My ability to process oxygen is compromised on a lower level, and so my endurance would be down. Hand farming during a collapse is going to be hard work, period. The fact that I didn't plan ahead and keep myself in uber shape will make that harder. I can deal with the mental aspects pretty well, I think. Mental health wise, I've always been very balanced. I've always been analytical over emotional. So that doesn't scare me as much as maybe it should. I look back to season 1 of Alone, Alan Kay, when he was getting toward the end of the contest, when he was sick and lying in his shelter. He started to have some doubts, but he never doubted that his family loved him, and he held on. I respect that. I hope that that would be where I would be, that it would be my body and illness giving me trouble as opposed to my mental state and my doubts and worries and fears. Getting back to what would be the actual hardest or most challenging, I am going to choose two. The one would be, let's go totally SHTF, oh my goodness, the EMP has hit, the economy has collapsed, life as we know it is over. Bugging out long distance on foot, once getting to the bug out location, having to get the farm into production status quickly. I mean, if it happened right now, it's fall, we've had our first freeze, that would be difficult because we'd be living off preps and foraging what little roots, tubers, and fish we could still get. Deer season is upon us, so that would be an option. And, you know, if it was an SHTF scenario, there would be no deer. I mean, there would be no hunting rules. It would be game on. But trying to get things set up in a manner where we could immediately go into food production next year, getting everything lined up. I would be tilling the soil now and continually tilling it up until planting day next year. Even in the frozen ground, I would keep turning it. And that would be physically challenging. Getting the glass up and over the windows of the greenhouse. You know, finishing projects and getting the place, I mean, the place is ready, but it's not running. Spinning it up as a food producing location would be difficult up until we have someone on location 24/7, which we will shortly. But as of this moment, that would be the most challenging. Getting to the BOL and spinning it up into food production as a retreat, as a place where we can stay, as a place where we have heat and water and roof and all that. It's fine and dandy. It's the food production spin up that would be challenging. My other most challenging would be if a child was kidnapped, because there is very little that I could do right off the bat. It would be up to law enforcement, and my hands would be tied. And that would be the most mentally straining SHTF, I think, because I couldn't do anything. That would drive me up one wall and down the other. So, we thank Mike from Asymmetrical Preparedness. He threw this one at us. And I really do appreciate the ability to think this one through. It has been a challenge and an introspective exercise. So Mike, thank you very much. It's good that Brandon's home and he's getting stronger. You are always in our prayers, my friend. And And thank you for the challenge. And I look forward to answering more of yours in a more timely fashion. So, thanks for joining us on Prepping in Progress. Have a good